Yeah, you. Come here. Don't worry about them. Just get your fucking ass over here. You want to see something really cool? Yeah. It's a fucking Rambo knife. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You like that face, don't you? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I picked this up at Fan Expo in Toronto last year, and I've always wanted a Rambo-style knife, and I picked it up. I do believe, though, it's a bit bigger than the one that Sylvester Stallone used in the original Rambo. That was a bit smaller. He did graduate to bigger knives as the series went on, but I do believe it's the same size or similar in size to the one that Paul Hogan used in the original Crocodile Dundee. You know the movie I'm talking about, right? That's not a knife. No, that's a knife. And it's real, folks. Oh yeah, really sharp. Awesome stuff. Love this shit. Love this shit. I got all sorts of stuff I could show you. Maybe I'll bust it out sometime. Show you Dave's movie memorabilia. Well, this isn't really from a movie. It's not really movie memorabilia, just the same kind of knife. But you know what I'm talking about, right? Anyways, yeah, so put that down there. Hey guys, sorry it's been a little while since I've uploaded a video of me jibber-jabbering. I've been feeling a little under the weather this week. And, when I start to feel a little... I got to be careful because, of course, I use my voice to make my living. So, I got to bust out the halls and the green tea and the hot chocolate and whatever the case is. So I apologize for that. And I wasn't going to do this video. A lot of people have been wanting me to do it. And I've sort of put it off because everybody does this kind of it. Not that there's anything wrong with all you out there who have done this, but, I only like to do videos really on things that I'm passionate about, which is why you don't see me uploading every single day. I mean, I could if you want to hear me talk about, I don't know, air. Anyway, So yeah, I got to really be into what I'm talking about, right? But that being said, I thought, you know what? It's Friday night. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Why not go into the weekend with something fun, right? Okay, all right. You guys busted my balls long enough. Let's do it. Or wait a minute, I shouldn't say that. You twisted my arm long enough. Let's do it. And that is, I'm going to rank the Halloween movies. Now, before you get excited, I am going to negate Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2 and Halloween 3. Okay? I'm only going to focus on Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So just be aware of that. Now, it's not because I hate Halloween 3. I really like Halloween 3, but it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. Yes, I know there's the scene in the movie where the Halloween commercial comes on the television, but you know what I'm talking about. And of course, I'm negating Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2, and it's not because no, it is. It's because they're fucking shit shows. And I just don't want to talk about them. So that's really why. So I'm going to rank sort of the original Michael Myers movies, okay? Now, before I do, though, I do want to say this, okay? I'm not just going to throw them up on the screen and be like, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 5, this is 6. There's very specific reasons why I feel the way I do about the order that I have created. Now, it's very possible that when you look at my rankings, you might be surprised with a couple of them. Okay, you're probably not going to be surprised with the first couple, but you might be surprised with a few of them. And the reason for that is because I base this ranking on how I feel when I'm watching it and how I feel in relation to how I'm feeling when I compare it to the other movies that came before it, if that makes any sense. What I mean by that is, it's very possible that there could be a movie that I loathe more than a movie that's actually sitting lower than this movie. But the reason the loathed movie is higher than, say, this movie over here is because of some of the redeeming qualities that I think they got right in that movie that makes it actually more watchable for me than the other one. But I loathe it overall more than I loathe this one. If you know what I'm saying? I think you do. But we'll go through it together, okay? And I'll let you know. Okay, so as you can see here, this is probably not surprising to some of you, the first couple, but the rest might be. I have placed numbers underneath the movie posters to signify my rankings for them. And this is in order. Sometimes when I talk about movies and shit, I will say in no particular order. No, this is in order of how I rank them, of how I like them, and probably maybe how I would, probably how I would actually watch them. If I was to sit down and watch every single one, this is probably how I would watch them. Okay, so starting on the top left, we have John Carpenter's classic, The Original Halloween. Well, what really is there to say about this movie that I have not already said in videos in the past? I mean, if you've been following me for a while, you know my feelings on it. There's really no need for me to get into great detail on why I love John Carpenter's original so much in comparison to all of the others. And of course, as a whole, in terms of where it sits in horror history. So, you know, if you want to know my thoughts on that, you can go back and watch a lot of my other stuff. So that's no surprise there. Number one, of course, is John Carpenter's original Halloween. Number two is Halloween 2. Now, one of the reasons, if not the main reason, actually, why I enjoy this sequel so much is because it literally picks up where the first one left off. Literally, in the purest sense of the word. And John Carpenter did an ingenious thing by writing it that way. But not just that. Not just the opening picking up where the first one left off, but the entire movie plays out over the course of the same night. And he could have written it in a way where, you know, the movie begins where the first one left off, but then after the first 5 or 10 minutes or so, we jump 5 years into the future, which actually was one of the main ideas, which they didn't end up going with. But because it plays out over the course of the same night, there's this organic sort of feeling that Halloween 2 has, this natural sort of progression for our characters. What would Dr. Loomis do at the end of that movie? Well, yeah, he would, you know, come down the stairs, go out on the front lawn, check the front lawn, maybe go down, you know, an alleyway or two. Where did Michael Myers go? Well, yeah, he probably did, you know, go down the sidewalk, down an alley. There's this natural sort of organic progression for our characters and for the sequence of events, and it feels like it's supposed to be there. It almost feels like you're watching one movie, Halloween 1 and 2, one movie with two separate parts. I've said that many times. It's like back in the day when you would rent a movie from the video store that was 3 hours long, like something like, you know, Braveheart or The Green Mile, and you would get two cassettes, and you would put the first one in, and you would watch about 90 minutes of the movie, and then you would take that out and you'd put the other one in. That's sort of like what Halloween 1 and 2 is like. And because it plays out that way, and it doesn't jump 5 years into the future, it has this emotional connection to the original. And there isn't this disconnect, right? There isn't this sort of, 5 years later, they've moved on, things are sort of back to normal. Where's Jamie Lee Curtis? She's married now with a couple of kids. They don't have that. It's a sequel, yes, but it's almost like just chapter 2. It's one movie with two separate parts. And because of that, I think it helps Halloween 2 to feel like it's supposed to be there. Now, I can certainly watch Halloween 1 without watching Halloween 2, but you have to be in a very specific frame of mind, because we all know that the original Halloween was supposed to be a one-off, right? It was this Hitchcockian sort of Twilight Zone-y campfire kind of ghost story that John Carpenter never intended to make a sequel to, right? The ending of the movie is just he was shot 6 times, falls off the balcony, and he's gone. I mean, he's the boogeyman, right? So in order to watch Halloween 1 and not feel compelled to watch Halloween 2, which can be done, by the way, you have to remember what Halloween 1 was supposed to be in its truest form. And of course, now that sort of they negated away from that with every sequel they made. But Halloween 1 does have a story in and of itself in terms of its intent and its roots and its purpose. And that's another reason why I love the original the best. Clearly, for me, Halloween 2 is the far inferior film to Halloween 1. It's more of, it has more of the slashery kind of blood and gore vibe to it. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not comparing it to something like, Friday the 13th or A Nightmare on Elm Street. But in comparison to what Carpenter did in the 78 classic, classic, it certainly has stepped up a notch in that regard. And there's very specific reasons for that. And that's not to say that there aren't some great moments of suspense and tension and mood and atmosphere in Halloween 2. There absolutely is. One of my favorite scenes in Halloween 2 is when the nurse goes into the office to get the doctor because Laurie's had a reaction to the medication. She spins the doctor around, we see the needle in his eye, and she begins to back up, and then you see, Michael Myers' face slowly emerge from the darkness, right? But it's in this reddish sort of glowish hue of the office, which is a nice contrast to the bluish sort of tinge and hue we got in the original film. This red glow feels very ominous and evil and very sort of dark and eerie and creepy. And that was a great moment, one of my favorite moments in the entire film. So that's why I really enjoyed Halloween 2 when you relate it to the original, which is why I have it here as number 2 on my list. Okay, let's go to number 3, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now, the reason why I can't say I love Halloween 4. The reason why I enjoyed Halloween 4, and I've always said that all things considered, I think it was a decent and acceptable return to the franchise because you killed Michael Myers at the end of Halloween 2, which I was happy with. Well, how do you bring him back? Okay, well, this is a little fantastical. We have to suspend our disbelief a little bit. But okay, this was a decent return. Donald Pleasance came back. He was his usual awesome self in that role. There's a lot of great moments between Pleasance and Meeker, right? He's in this town. He's gonna kill that little girl and anybody who gets in his way. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really gets into a like it was great. It was great. You know what I'm saying? But the thing that they really did well with Halloween 4, and the reason why it's watchable for me, it has repeat value, and a lot of you guys will probably agree with this, is because Halloween 4, despite the problems they had, and they did have problems. I mean, let's not forget the script was written in like a couple of weeks or something like that. There were logistical issues to get this production off the ground. But one of the things that they did right was they were able to capture or come very close to capturing the same kind of mood and vibe as the original Halloween. They were able to capture that same sort of close-knit, claustrophobic, small-town vibe of the original. Remember, in the original, Dr. Loomis comes to Haddonfield, speaks to Sheriff Brackett. Sheriff Brackett wants to go to the TV networks and tell everybody in town that Michael Myers, has supposedly come back and to lock your windows and bolt your doors, or I think it's bolt your windows and lock your doors, or whatever the case it is. All that kind of shit, right? And Dr. Loomis doesn't want to do that because he's like, no, they'll see him on every street corner, they'll look for him on every house, all that kind of crap, right? So there was this very sort of, small claustrophobic feel that only a select few people knew, and it was like a race against time. Well, Halloween 4 has that same sort of thing going for it. Now, obviously, it eventually sort of leaked out, and more people began to catch on that Michael Myers was, supposedly back, but for a little while there, it was only Dr. Loomis and Sheriff Meeker, right? And they were sort of trying to inconspicuously, get Jamie Lloyd out of the house, not trying to tell her too much. Where's everything going on? He's in this town. He's after that little girl and anybody who gets in his way. They didn't want to let on that Michael Myers was back. And because this is Halloween 4, and we've seen what Michael Myers can do and what he's capable of, it's almost as if the stakes are a little higher now, right? It's like, oh shit, he's back. Shit just got real. So there's that kind of, vibe, around this small town, claustrophobic, moody, atmospheric thing going on. And the fall foliage, the autumn foliage that they were able to capture, it undoubtedly is the best fall, Halloween, autumn season feeling and looking Halloween film of the series. Undoubtedly, 100%. That was another thing that they were able to capture really well. So when you combine all those things, it's and the opening too. I mean, the opening credits to Halloween 4 is fantastic. Just that soundscape and that ominous sort of droning, moody sort of atmospheric sound that's building and building and building. And, and all these shots of, these farm equipment and, the outskirts of Haddonfield, right? Like there's this presence that's beginning to build and come back. It doesn't get the credit that it deserves. It does, amongst Halloween fans, I think. But in the broader sort of objective horror community, when you're looking at the Halloween franchise, it was an acceptable and decent return. But of course, as a whole, there are a lot of things that I didn't like about it. I could get into all of the issues I have with it, but that's not what this video is about. So that is why I think Halloween 4 has a lot of rewatch value for me, because I can live vicariously through those things they did right. And the ending, of course. I mean, the ending was fantastic. A great cliffhanger ending that I really wish they should have gone with in Halloween 5. Not that Jamie becomes the killer, but sort of organically progress from that moment, which they didn't do. They took a step back. They went that far, and then they didn't have the balls to sort of go with it. Again, I don't mean make Jamie the killer, but actually sort of organically progress from that moment, and they didn't do that. But anyway. Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Okay, so this movie's a fucking shit show. This was the first movie that I saw the first Halloween movie I saw in the theater back in October or November of 1995. I was 16. I think for me, the reason why I put this movie above the others is simply because of Donald Pleasence. And because of having the character of Tommy Doyle back, even though it wasn't played by Brian Andrews and he was played by Paul Rudd, just having that character back was really exciting, because it was interesting to see where that character was now, what that character was up to. And when you suspend your disbelief and you get over the fact that he looks nothing like he did when he was 8, and that Paul Rudd has this obsession with, or, Tommy Doyle has this obsession with Michael Myers, which wasn't that unrealistic, I guess, depending on how it, psychologically affected him back in 1978. It was interesting. And there's that connection again. Those two characters, you have, Dr. Loomis, and you have, Tommy Doyle, and that's your emotional connection to the movies, or for me, to the movies that I really love. And of course it was Donald Pleasence's last movie, not only the last Halloween movie, but the last movie he ever did. He died shortly after making it. So it was great to sort of have that. This was the movie that we were going to find out, what's been going on, why he's doing what he's doing. It's going to answer the Man in Black question finally after 6 years, right? Even though, of course, I am a huge proponent, and I was even then, even at 16 years old, I was a huge proponent of Carpenter's original vision, the absence of character, the absence of motive, right? There is no rhyme or reason for, why he's doing what he's doing. I was still, as a fan, I was like, okay, well, if this is the way we're going to go, I do want answers to what the fuck that was in Halloween 5. So there was that sort of attachment to it. It was interesting to see them play out and try to justify what came before it in Halloween 5. Not necessarily what came in Halloween 4, because I think Halloween 4 was still very much true to the flavor of the original, even though they were going with the motive in terms of him coming back after his niece. There was no impending sort of foreshadowing of this Man in Black cult thorn shit that was about to hit the fan in Halloween 5. So I was really curious to see, okay, what the fuck was that in Halloween 5? Let's see what this Halloween 6 is all about. So that's essentially why I put it maybe a couple of hairs, a hair or two above Halloween 5. As a whole, I don't like the movie. I don't. But there is that emotional attachment to those characters that are always fun to revisit. It's always an enjoyment to revisit Donald Pleasence as Dr. Loomis. And that was sort of nice to see. And on top of that, to see how they're going to explain this. And it's interesting. I think it's a terrible movie. I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's watchable. There are some nice moments in it. There are some redeeming qualities. But they, by and large, come at the expense of Dr. Loomis and not really anything that Michael Myers is doing. I just like sort of watching Donald Pleasence on screen and trying to see him work with a script that I'm sure he said was I'm sure he's thinking, what the hell is this crap? Okay, let's do it. For those of you who are wondering, yes, I have seen the producer's cut, and it doesn't make it any less, any more enjoyable for me. It fills in in a little more plot holes that maybe the theatrical cut has, but it's not like it's that's much better. Oh, I like that much better. No, it just fills in some stuff that they left out, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now, but it's still the same fucking story. Okay, moving right along. Halloween H2O. I saw this movie in the theater back in 1998 when I was 19. Funny enough, I put this above 5 and Resurrection, and the reason why I do, it's a fucking shit show. It's a fucking shit show. But the reason why I put it above 5 and Resurrection, again, is because of the redeeming qualities. It's a direct sequel to Halloween 2. So it's negating 5, it's negating 6, it's negating 4, and it's a direct sequel to Halloween 2. So it's really cool, despite the fact that it looks like Michael Myers walked onto the set of Dawson's Creek, and it takes place all in California. So there's no, Midwest fall vibe. There's no claustrophobic sort of vibe. They tried to create that kind of thing within the school, but it failed because it was just like I was watching like a Beverly Hills 90210 episode, but with just Michael Myers, so it was just kind of like, it was really lame. Okay. But the redeeming quality of having Jamie Lee Curtis in there as Laurie Strode, it was cool. And it's always cool to see her playing that character 20 years later. I'm the girl that went through this, and, you don't know me. And, here's where I am now 20 years later. I think he's around at every turn. It's just kind of cool to watch that character play out. It's fun to revisit that character. Because we never thought that we were ever going to see that character again, right? So even though I don't like the movie overall, and I don't really like the mask, and I don't really like the portrayal of the Shape, and I certainly don't like the setting of the movie, I enjoyed watching Laurie and Michael sort of, I lived through those moments, like, yeah, this happens 20 years later, like to see her face and to see her go, Michael, it was just kind of neat to see that again, which is that's why it has some rewatch value, because I enjoy watching that. Now, granted, I have not seen Halloween H2O in probably over 10 years. But if I was to watch it, I could watch it because I enjoy that about the movie, if that makes sense. And I didn't mind the opening of the movie. I mean, Joseph Gordon-Levitt at the time, he was on Third Rock from the Sun. He wasn't a huge name at the time. So it's not really that distracting to me. It was great to see Marion Chambers back. And that was kind of cool. That was a cool opening. That was a nice moment, right? So there's that attachment there, seeing, there's this, connection to part 2, right? There's that connection to part 1. So it was cool to kind of see that. So again, the things that I like about the movies that I hate have really nothing to do with Michael Myers per se, just living vicariously through these characters that I like to revisit, which I think is kind of cool. Okay, so moving right along here to Halloween 6. Number 6, which is Halloween 5, the fucking shit show. And look, I said it a number of months ago in that video that I uploaded where I talk about how Halloween 5 is a fucking shit show, and it was, the one that ruined the Halloween franchise. And I will say it here. Halloween 5 is a fucking shit show, and it is the one that ruined the franchise because you can trace everything back to Halloween 5. Had Halloween 5 actually been good, or even just as good as Halloween 4, you wouldn't have gotten the shit show that is Halloween 6. They wouldn't have needed to reboot it and give us Halloween H2O, and they wouldn't have needed to give us Halloween Resurrection because there would not have been a Halloween H2O or a Halloween 6, because Halloween 5 may have been actually pretty good had they actually followed the organic progressive nature left at the end of Halloween 4. You can trace everything back to Halloween 5. The creative choices they made, having the gothic Myers house. Oh my God. It doesn't even look, even just a regular wartime home that looked nothing like the Myers house would have been totally acceptable. Who was the production designer on this movie? Who said, that was a good idea? Yeah, let's get this house that looks literally nothing like the Myers house. It's, many different floors and all this kind of stuff. The director was this eccentric, I'm not saying that he hadn't, delivered in some films that he had done in the past. He had, which is why, some people were actually a big fan of this guy and why he was hired. But there is no way in hell the creative choices he was making. This is a little known fact that the script to Halloween 5 was being rewritten and rewritten and rewritten as they were shooting it. The idea for the Man in Black came to them while they were already in production, which is why it has no rhyme or reason or makes no sense. The director of Halloween 5 just wanted to add some sort of mystery to the movie. He felt that something was missing. So he was like, well, you know what? Let's add this mysterious Man in Black guy in there, and whoever makes Halloween 6 can worry about what it all means and who he is and how he relates to the rest of the story. He literally said that. Who does that? I mean, you can trace everything back to 5. Had Halloween 5 actually been decent, I don't mean great, I don't mean phenomenal, I mean, that was okay. That was a decent sequel to Halloween 4. We would not have gotten Halloween 6, H2O, and we would have not got the shit show that is Resurrection, and we may have not got the shit shows that are Rob Zombie's Halloweens. It all goes back to 5. 5 was the catalyst that destroyed the franchise. But, having said all that, you got Donald Pleasance in it. You got Dr. Loomis in it. And Dr. Loomis is his usual, "Hey, come on, you tell me what's going on." And, he's always great to watch on screen. And, if anything, he is the one redeeming quality in that goddamn movie. And they killed off Rachel as well. They killed off Rachel, the only other redeeming new character that people were starting to get emotionally attached to. They kill her off. So now we're left with, Danielle Harris, who is only 10 years old, or 11 or 12 or whatever she was in Halloween 5. So it's not, I mean, she's good, but it's not like we're becoming, emotionally attached to her necessarily. Our only connection to the original series here is Dr. Loomis. And he is the only saving grace in that movie. And the only reason why I would ever consider popping that movie into the machine is because of Dr. Loomis. So that's the only reason why I put it above Resurrection, because I could easily swap those two out. Okay, they're probably interchangeable on this list. But when we move over to Resurrection, oh my God. I mean, Resurrection, Jamie Lee Curtis she dies. She kisses him on the mouth. What is that? Why are you kissing him on the lips on the mask? She falls to her death. And then the rest of the movie, and it's so unfortunate because it was directed by Rick Rosenthal, the guy that directed Halloween 2. So there was this expectation, there was this hype. Oh my God, you're bringing back the director from Halloween 2. Hey, okay. The reason why, for me, at this very moment in time, anyway, Resurrection is dead last is because you killed off Jamie Lee Curtis in a really weak, lame-ass way. She goes out kissing her brother on the lips on the mask. That's just lame. It's awkward. It's weird. It's just weird. It's dumb to me. And the whole sort of central theme of the movie is to capitalize on something that was current in pop culture at the time, right? Watching people on the internet, Survivor, and capitalizing on the pop culture craze of webcams and, watching people online and let's do a, Dangertainment in the Myers house and get Busta Rhymes in there and Tyra Banks and trick or treat, motherfucker. And I'm just like, there is nothing I can glom onto. Okay. Not that anybody else outside of, Jamie Lee Curtis was, glom-omable. But you have Dr. Loomis is gone. Jamie Lee Curtis is gone. What am I watching? What is this movie? What am I watching? I'm watching Michael Myers on reality TV? What is this? It's a fucking shit show. Busta Rhymes is drop kicking Michael Myers, and then he's dressing up with him, having a conversation. Yo, dude, what you doing? I'm dressing up like this guy, man. Oh my God. It's a fucking shit show. But depending on how I feel about it, Resurrection 5 could be interchangeable. But the one thing that keeps 5 just a bit is Dr. Loomis. Dr. Loomis. Rest in peace, Dr. Loomis. Anyways, folks, I could go on and on and on, but those are pretty much in a nutshell why I've ranked the Halloween movies in that order for me. My name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. I want to know. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. McRae is MCRAE. Facebook.com/manythingsdavemcrae. Follow me there because in the meantime and in between time, when I'm not posting here, that's where I try to post. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. What is your ranking of these movies? Are they similar? Do we have the same ranking? Is your ranking completely different? Who has Resurrection at number 1? Who has Halloween 5 at number 1? Comment below and let me know. I want to know. So, those are, again, in a nutshell. You know me, I could fucking go on and on and on, but I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible. Comment below and let me know. Those are my rankings of the original Michael Myers movies right now. Well, I'm going to go pop a Halls and sit back and watch some Netflix. I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.